Well, second to the last summer, Sunday, second to the last time we gather at 1 hour only, 10 o'clock, and we circle back to a theme overall arching that we've been honoring this summer, trying to listen for ways in which the gospel message might be speaking to us through pieces of the cultural message. We took time at the beginning to listen to that old folk anthem from the 60s, Blowing in the Wind. A couple weeks back, Doug brought before us a connection to that delightful old TV program, Cheers. And so we continue. Ways in which notes from the culture might speak a word to us if we're attentive and if we listen. Actually, the idea for this came to me a while back, a couple of years ago actually, when news came that the Nobel judges over in their country there decided that they would give the prize for literature to, of all things, folk singer Bob Dylan. Well, I was never a Dylan aficionado in my youth, couple songs, but he's written almost 400, so there are a lot of them to go. But it made me go back and take a look at the highlights, and it made me remember that my late brother-in-law, Earl Wetzel, had been a Dylan aficionado, a fellow Minnesotan. Earl, no matter what the circumstance, could quote a little Dylan line from some obscure song that seemed to fit. Now, he also happened to be a high school football coach at a state competitive level. And every year, when they came to the homecoming weekend, they'd ask him to do a little pep talk and motivate the team and the school. And every year, he circled back to one of Bob Dylan's songs, what we're going to lift up and focus on today. Thought it a fitting set of words to give to those high school youth. And down the years, I've thought it so. In fact, it comes back to me many times. It comes back to me when I gather, as I did several weeks back, for a baptism. It comes back when I invite the little children to come down front. And there they are in all their glory and all their potential, just waiting to blossom. Comes back around. One of the things I've noted as I've paid more attention to the old folk singer is that he has such a way with words. But his gravelly voice, could use some improvement. So actually, I take more delight in listening to others who are covering his songs. In this case, it's Forever Young that we want to be thinking about. Joan Baez did a version. Neil Young did a version. The band did a version. But the one that I think has stood the test of time is that by... the guy whose name just went right out of my head. Who is it? Rod Stewart. And one of our ushers just saw him in concert, which is why I was pointing to the back. So here's what I'm going to invite us to do. Ben in the tech room actually has a version of the song, and I've asked him to cue it up, and let's just listen a little bit to set a mood and a tone for the day. Ben, please.
And in my heart,
Well, I got to tell you, I'm in an interim role here, but I smile at a congregation that finds value in mulling over the old classic hymns of Isaac Watts in 1 hour and are willing to invite Rod Stewart into the sanctuary in another. Not a bad thing, folks. Don't lose that. It'll serve you well. As we hear that message about staying forever young, I easily sense that Jesus would smile at that. Didn't he say, hey, you let those little children come to me, don't you hold them back? Know this, whoever does not receive my kingdom as a little child will never be a part of it, because it is such as these upon which that kingdom will be built, forever young. I've thought a lot about that over the years of my own parenthood. My 3 sons now, each into their 30s, and in our household, 2 grandchildren come along. In my pastoral role, watching over, baptizing, speaking to children week by week, I've inferred some things in all of that, inferred some things Jesus meant. I conclude, for one thing, that he wants us not to lose touch with the child that we once were. The innocence, the eager openness, the flexibility, the resilience. I'm already seeing it in our little 5-year-old granddaughter. Boy, she flares up in one moment. And then that feeling dissipates really quickly in the next. And with it comes, restoration and forgiveness. No problem. Let's move on. Oh, could it be always that way for all of us? Couldn't it be? Wouldn't it be? Another anonymous poet gets it when she rightly pens, youth is not a time of life, it is a state of mind. It is a temper of the will, a quality of the imagination, a vigor of the emotions, a predominance of courage over timidity, adventure over love of ease. Whether you're 6 or 60, hold on in your heart to a love of wonder, a sweet amazement at the stars, an unfailing childlike appetite for what is to come next, and joy in the game of life. Hey, good prompts for all of us as individuals. And don't miss it, good prompts for a congregation in a transitional time. Stay open, eager, ready for what is coming next. Points us to the way children naturally tend to be and to act. Whoever wants to be a part of God's kingdom in whatever generation wants to hold on to that. Keep that spirit active and alive. Chuckling a little bit because last night PBS rebroadcast their retrospective on the event 50 years ago up there in Bethel, New York, and I couldn't help myself. I had to catch most of it, Woodstock, and I just shook my head again because I was so enamored with it in the year or two after, and when you watch it now from a little sober perspective, you say, man, I'm glad they were there, but I don't think I would have wanted to be among the mud and the mess and all the rest of it. They dodged quite a potential disaster because even when they all got hungry, they didn't turn on each other. And even when the electric storm came, they didn't all get electrocuted. And I had to smile because old Joni Mitchell, who wasn't able to get up there, penned that anthem that sort of set the mythology. And it ended with this line, you know it, in the chorus. We've got to get back to the garden, which I remember getting excited about in the dorm room in college. She's talking about the Garden of Eden. Yeah, we want to get back to that. Oh, if only it were that easy. got to get back. But the sentiment remains, doesn't it? We think on these things. We think on these things when we welcome a little one, either by birth or by baptism, into the nuclear family or the extended family. And we appreciate the words Bob Dylan gave us, if we'll stop to do so. Here's the way he wrote it in verse 2. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong, and in our hearts you'll always stay forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. Well, I went back and checked, and it seems he wrote this in the early 1970s when his first son was born, and he was moving from the bigger issues of social, political thoughts to the more personal. And boy, he got it pretty right, didn't he? Thank you very much. Clearly an inspiration here, words from the popular culture that yet, if we'll listen, echo the themes of our faith. Like these, verse 1, may God bless and keep you always. Well, if you've spent any time in Sunday worship anywhere, they probably are familiar words. They're lifted pretty much right out of the book of Numbers. Moses speaking to the people of Israel, and we clergy tend to like to use them for benedictions. May the Lord bless and keep you always. May you always do for others and let others do for you. You know, some people say that that golden rule is about the best thing Jesus ever gave us. Everybody can latch on to it. So thank you, a poet in the popular culture who spoke the words to people who may never set foot in a house like this. The message comes, do unto others as they would do. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. Like the story tells us, Jacob saw in a dream that stairway to the heavens, God sending messengers back. And through all of this, may you stay forever young. Well, the biblical writer of Ecclesiastes understood this. Paul shared it with us today. Wisely, he advised, raise your child up in the way he should go, and when he is grown, he won't depart from it. Remember your Creator, he wrote. This is the beginning of wisdom. The broad wisdom being that to remember that is to remember we're not self-made. This adventure isn't just about us alone. It's about us together. Good to focus on that. Of course, it's tricky. Jesus, Ecclesiastes, Dylan, all of us know that in growing up, there are things we need to learn. We need to learn skills and the way things work in this wondrous world. We need to learn discernment and, frankly, a little caution. A little wariness in order to effectively make our way. Didn't Jesus say to us, be wily as serpents, even as you are gentle as a dove? The trick is not letting us wear us down, or let our hearts get too hard or our necks too stiff. How to find that balance. The ecclesial writer was prudent to finish his initial thought. Remember the Creator in the days of your youth before the days of trial and trouble come. Surely they will. By the way, parents, tell them when they come back with their kids, will you? Good motivation here for them to keep their kids as much as possible in Sunday school because, doggone it, where else do you hear this kind of thing? To get the ideas that you're going to want to use as you grow and move on. Well, we think about that for our little ones, don't we? Because we must, and we want them to hold on to that childhood as long as they can, but no, in the end, they've got to grow out of it. They've got to green up and come into their own. And how to help nuance. How to help them nuance the balance they're going to need. To stay tender of heart and yet skilled and focused in their deeds. Oh, isn't that the parent's task? And Isn't that the kind of thing an extended family like a congregation wants to help them do as best we can? Of course. For my part, in the greening and growing vein, I'm appreciative of another voice from the popular culture. Sounded a year ago, namely that of Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. I wonder if you remember the reprint of the remarkable commencement address he gave to his prep school alma mater, Cardigan in Connecticut. Prep school alma mater graduation address, commencement time. Rather than the glib, positive pep talk that you often expect, his was a poetic, even prophetic word. It was rendering prompts appropriate to that audience, but really they carry so well to any of us who want to be mature and grow healthy. Just a few of his words. Said, over the last couple of years, I've gotten to know many of you young men pretty well, and I know you're good guys. You are also privileged young men. Privileged now because you've been here at the school. My advice is, don't act like it. In a word, he said, don't take your privilege as your due. Be humble, be grateful, be human. He went on, said, now commencement speakers will typically also wish you good luck and extend good wishes. I will not do that, he said, and I'll tell you why. From time to time in the years to come, I hope you will be treated unfairly so that you will come to know the value of justice. I hope you will suffer betrayal because that will show you the importance of loyalty. Sorry to say, but I hope you'll be lonely from time to time so that you don't take friends for granted. And when you lose, as you will from time to time, I hope every now and then your opponent will gloat over your failure. It is a way for you to understand the importance of sportsmanship. I hope you'll be ignored so you know the importance of listening to others. And I hope you'll have just enough pain to learn compassion. Well, whether I wish these things for you or not, they're going to happen. And whether you benefit from them or not will depend on your ability to see the deeper meaning in all the days of your lives. And then Chief Justice Roberts concluded, may your hands be always busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart be always joyful. May your song be always sung. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young. Good words down the centuries and even today. In Jesus' name, amen.